we're here. Cat
Go.
Allah. Cat Allah.
Bet actually.
Okay, put it in one place. If one says to an unpaid shomer, "Where is my bull?" and he replied, "It died," whereas in fact it broke a limb, was captured, stolen, or lost, or he replied, "It broke a limb," whereas in fact it died, was captured, stolen, or lost, and he replied, "It was captured," whereas in fact it died, broke a limb, was stolen, or lost, and he replied, "It was stolen," whereas in fact it died, broke a limb, was captured, or lost, and he replied, "It was lost," whereas in fact it died, broke a limb, was captured, was stolen, and he said to him, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen," then he is exempt. If he said to him, "Where is my bull?" and he replied, "I don't know what you are talking about," whereas in fact it died, broke a limb, was stolen or lost, and he said to him, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen," and he is exempt. If he said to him, "Where is my bull?" and he replied, "It was lost," and he said to him, "Adore you," and he replied, "Amen," but witnesses merely testify against him that he ate it, he must pay the principal. If he confessed on his own, he must pay the principal plus a fifth and a guilt offering. And he said to him, "Where is my bull?" And he replied, "It was stolen." And he said to him, "I adore you." And he replied, "Amen." But witnesses testify against him that he stole it, and he must pay the twofold payment. If he confessed on his own, he must pay the principal plus a fifth and a guilt offering. If he said to someone on the street, "Where is my bull?" that you stole it, he replied, "I did not steal it." But witnesses testify against him that he stole it, and pays the twofold payment. He has slaughtered it or sold, he must pay a fourfold or fivefold payment. If he saw witnesses approaching and he said, "I stole, but I did not slaughter or sell," he pays only the principal.
Okay. Sorry. Right. So I'm on a shoil. So now we go across to a different category. This is now the borrower who is
Mhm.
liable for everything. Okay, except for the one narrow case where the bottom are with him, but that's not our case over here. So he says to the shoel, "Hey Hanshori, where's my ox?" Amalo, Mace, I'm sorry, it died. If it dies on the shoel, does he have to pay? Yes, he does. That's the answer. He does. He has to pay no matter what. Okay. And really, what happened was that it was broken, or it was captured, or it was stolen, or it was lost. And then the Mishnah again goes through all these different possibilities of whether it was died or broken or captured or lost or stolen. In any of these cases, and the shoel swears that it was lost by a different method. Okay, he says take an oath, and he said, "Yeah, I swear." First of all, why is he making the shoel take an oath? It doesn't. It's not going to help
Mhm.
because we're talking about two people who don't know the halacha, and he just wants to know for his own peace of mind that whatever it's, or maybe he just wanted to know that the shoel didn't steal it himself. Okay, so he makes the shoel swear, and the shoel purges himself and says, "Yeah, it was stolen when really it was lost, or whatever the case is." In any case, he's going to have to pay. So even though this oath falsely, he's patur from the korban of making a false oath.
Mhm.
Okay, because he didn't deny any money by it. Okay, so
Okay.
except this is a different case. Whereas with the case of the shomer chinam, he didn't deny any money because even if he'd said the right thing, he still wouldn't have had to pay. Whereas here, even if he'd said the right thing, he still would have had to pay, but he didn't change anything. So there again, he didn't deny the owner any money because he gets the money anyway. Mishnah Vav, Hechan Shori says, "Okay, where's my ox?" Amalo, any of them I have no idea what you're talking about. Now he's denying liability. You see that? He's
Yeah.
saying, I don't know what you're talking about. You never lent me an ox. Ooh, Shemais and Nishbar and Ignav or Bad. And it was lost through one of these methods that make him chayav. Mashbiach ani. Swear to me that you never borrowed my ox. So Amar Amen. Well, now he's denying financial liability. So chayav. So now if he later has charata and he says, "I'm sorry, I really did borrow it and I was just afraid that you'd be angry, whatever," and he swears falsely. So now he has to pay back Karen, Bachomish, and bring in Asham. Okay. Amar lenose sachar v'lasocher. And now he comes to the renter or the paid custodian. The renter and the paid custodian are chayav for Geneva and Aveda, but they're pater for so they're basically they're chayav for things that are beyond. So they're chayav for things that they're supposed to look after, but they're pater and onsin. So if an animal died, or there were robbers, or armed robbers, we say he's pater as well. Okay. So what does he say? He says mace. He says it died, which means that he's pater. Okay. And really it was broken, or it was captured. In any of these cases, he'd still be pater. Okay. So in these cases, he would be pater from the korban, even if he swore falsely, because he's denying financial responsibility. But even if he told the truth, he would still be pater. Okay. Nignab, if he says it was stolen, v'hushe avad, or avad, v'hushe nignab, or he says it was stolen, really it was lost, or it was lost and really it was stolen. Mashbiach ani v'amar amein pater. So in those cases, he's also pater. Why? Because he's admitting financial responsibility, and even though he's saying the wrong circumstances, he's still saying, okay, I need to pay you. However, if he says mace or nishbar, if he says it died, if he says it died, it was broken, or it was lost, and really it was stolen or lost, mashbiach ani v'amar amein, and he makes him swear. Now he's chayav. Why? Because he's denying financial responsibility. He's saying that it was lost in a way that he's not responsible for, and really he is responsible for it. So there he would have to bring the korban. If he says it was stolen or it was lost, in which case he's admitting financial responsibility. And really it died, or was broken, or was captured. And he swears falsely that he's liable when really he's pater. He's pater. So he admitted something that was false and caused him to have a liability that he shouldn't have had. No, he doesn't have to bring a korban. He doesn't have to bring a korban on that. Zaklal. So now the Mishnah summarizes and says, your general rule is kol hamashane mechova lachova mepetur or mepetur lachova. If he lies about something that changes his status from being obligated to being obligated, or from being from being free to being free, or from being free to being obligated, he's pater. He doesn't have to bring a korban on that. But mechova leptur, however, if he goes from being obligated to being free because of his oath, then he's chayav. So it's only where he improves his position and denies the financial responsibility to the balim, that's when he has to bring a korban. Another way of phrasing this general rule is if he takes an oath that is lenient on him, then he's chayav to bring the korban. But to be stringent on himself, there he's pater from having to bring a korban. All good?
All good.
Adjon Allah, Masechet Shevuos.
Okay. Hey, Aleph?
Let's do Aleph of Eduyos. Okay, so
okay.
Eduyos is, as we've learned before, is a whole quilt of different subjects. There's no particular subject in the Masechta. What binds them together is that these are particular Mishnayos that were assembled, that were redacted together on the day that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was appointed the Nasi in Yavne. Yeah, and why he opened up the base midrash to everyone, and basically everyone who had a Masorah. He said, this is very shortly after the Romans came and destroyed the temple, and now they were concerned about exile and losing their Masorah. So they pulled in everyone and said, anyone who has a Masorah, come and bring it to us now. We're writing them down. We want to get all of your edus into here, and And so that's the Maseches Eduyos is a collection of random mishnayos on different subjects, and we'll see that they're bound together in terms of common themes rather than common subjects. So the Masechta opens with a bunch of mishnayos that relate to machlokes between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, where the halacha is not like neither of them, but rather like the chachamim who find a compromised position between them. So the subject is nida, and Shammai says, "Kol hanashim dayan shatan." He says, Shammai, sorry, not Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, it's Shammai and Hillel themselves, these mishnayos. Okay, so Shammai says, when a woman sees that she has that she's having her period, we have to have to worry about all of the kodshim that she's touched in the interim, right? She's become tameh. Anything that she's touched now is going to become tameh. Okay, but how far back do we have to go before she actually discovered that she was an Eda? And Shammai is the most makil here. He says, from the moment that she sees that she's the moment she sees that she's come on, then that's when we worry about her touching kodshim, nothing else. Says no. We go all the way back to the last time that she examined herself and found herself to be tahor. Okay, so that means if it was 3 days ago, 4 days ago, however long ago it was, that was the last time that she checked herself. Any kodshim that she touched in between then and now, we have to suspect as safek tameh.
Okay.
Even if it's many days. We disagree with both of them. Not as lenient as Shammai, not as stringent as Hillel. So if her last examination was more than 24 hours ago, then all we have to do is look back 24 hours and say the last 24 hours, that anything she touched then, we suspect that it might be tameh. Anything more than that, we're not worried about. And if she had done her most recent examination less than 24 hours ago, then we go back to that. We don't even worry about the 24 hours. Okay, so they take the lesser of the two periods and only suspect that. If a woman has a regular cycle, so that her periods come out predictably on the 27th day of the month, let's just say. Okay, if she knows that she goes on the 27-day cycle, daya shata, then when she comes on at the expected time, that's we don't have to even go back from that, because that's her normal time. If the woman has relations with her husband and checks herself before and after, which they've mentioned is a worthy thing to do, that is the same as a pekida in terms of checking for in terms of the requirement that we said of worrying about what kodshim she touched before she came on. And that right, which is just what I was saying, that if she did check herself with cloths, even casually, before and after she had relations with her husband, then that counts for reducing the time to less than 24 hours. Okay, so that's our one Mishna from Eduyos for the day. Okay, back to Shevuos.
Okay.
Hey Aleph.
The oath of deposit applies to both men and women, non-relatives and relatives, those qualified and those disqualified, in court and out of court, by his own mouth. But if he is adored by others, he is not liable unless he denies it in court. These are the words of Reb Meir. But the sages say whether by his own mouth or whether adored by others, whether he denies it, he is liable. He is liable for a willful transgression of the oath, as well as inadvertent transgression, coupled with a willful denial of the deposit. But he is not liable for his inadvertent transgression. Now, what is he liable for? It's willing. Now, what is he liable for? It's willful transgression, a guilt offering worth at least 2 silver shekels. What is the case of the oath or deposit? If someone said to him, "Give me my deposit that I have in your possession," and he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession," or he replied, "You have nothing in my possession," to which the other said, "I adore you," and he said, "Amen," he is liable. If he adored him 5 times, either in court or out of court, and he denied it, he is liable for each one. It said, Reb Shimon, what is the reason? Because he can retract and confess. If 5 people were pressing claims against him, and they said to him, give us the deposits that we have in your possession," in which he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession," he is liable only once. But if he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession, not you nor you," he is liable for each one. If Eliezer says, "Not unless he says, I swear," at the end, Reb Shimon says, "Not unless he says, I swear," to each one. If someone said to him, "Give me the deposit, the loan, the stolen article, and the lost article that I have in your possession," and he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession," he is liable only once. But if he replied, "I swear that you have in my possession neither a deposit, a loan, a stolen article, or a lost article," he is liable for each one. If someone said to him, give me the wheat, barley, and spelt that I have in your possession," and he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession," he is liable only once. But if he replied, "I swear that you have in my possession neither wheat, barley, or spelt," he is liable for each one. And Reb Meir says, even if he says a wheat, barley, or spelt, he is liable for each one.
Okay.
Okay.
Sanhedrin, Vav.
One who enters through a tunnel is judged according to the eventual outcome. If he was coming through a tunnel and he broke a barrel, if his blood is accountable, he is liable. If his blood is not accountable, he is exempt. These are those who are saved in the course of their lives. One who pursues another to kill him, or one who pursues a male or a betrothed Nahara. However, one who pursues a beast and one who disgraces the Sabbath and one who engages in idolatry are not saved by the course of their lives. There are ones who are burned, one who's cohabitates with a woman and her daughter, and the daughter of a Kohen who commits adultery, included in the category of a woman and her daughter who are his daughter's daughter, and his son's daughter, his wife's daughter, her daughter's daughter, and her son's daughter, and his mother-in-law, his mother-in-law's mother, and his mother-in-law's father-in-law's mother. These are the ones who are beheaded, a murderer in the inhabitants of an opposite town. A murderer struck another with a stone or with an iron, and he held him down in water or fire so that he could not escape, and he died, he's liable. If he pushed him into the water or into the fire, and he was able to escape, but he died, he is exempt. If he incited a dog or a snake against him, he is exempt. If he caused a snake to bite him, the Rebbe Yehuda considers him liable, with a Kohanim exempt him. If one struck another, whether with a stone or with a fist, that it would die, but his condition improved subsequently, he deteriorated again and died. He is liable, and the Kemen says he is exempt because there is an indication to that effect. One who
That's it, we're done. Okay. Are you keeping track of your time, by the way?
Yes, I am. I see 14. Okay, let's try Baba Kama.
Baba Kama, Zain. Chakra says at 6:30, right?
6:30, right. If he sold it except for 100th already, or if he had joint ownership in it, if he installed it and it became disqualified, if he pierced his nostrils and throughout the throat organs, he pays the twofold payment, but he does not pay the twofold for the fivefold payment. One who sold in the owner's possessions and slaughtered and sold outside the premises, or if he sold outside the premises, they slaughtered or sold within their premises, or if he sold and slaughtered and sold outside the premises, he pays the fourfold and fivefold payments. But if he sold the slaughtered and sold in the premises, he is exempt. If he was taken out by dragging and it died in the premises of the owner, he is exempt. If he lifted it or if he took it out of the owner's premises and he died, he is liable. If he gave it for the redemption of his firstborn son and to his creditor, he is unpaid guardian, to a borrower, to a paid guardian, or to a renter, and he was dragging it and it died in the premises of the owner, he is exempt. If he lifted it or took it out of the owner's premises and it died, he is liable. We may not raise small cattle in Eretz Yisrael, but we may raise them in Syria, or in wilderness in Eretz Yisrael. We may not raise chickens in Yerushalayim because of the consecrated things, nor may go on throughout all Eretz Yisrael because of the ritual of clean foods. In no place may we raise swine. A person may not raise a dog unless it's bound with a chain. We may not spread nets for doves unless it is 30 risks from an uninhabited place.
Okay.
See. Okay. All right.
Minus.
The men of the Mamad would fast 4 days of the week, and Monday to Thursday. They would not fast on Friday because of the honor due the Sabbath, nor on Sunday, lest they go from rest and pleasure to toil and fast and become faint. On Sunday, they would read in the beginning, and then let there be a firmament. On Monday, they let there be a firmament, and the waters gathered. On Tuesday, let the waters gather, and let there be luminaries. On Wednesday, there would be luminaries, let the waters swarm. On Thursday, let the waters swarm, and let the earth bring forth. On Friday, let the earth bring forth, and the heavens were completed. A long portion would be read by two people, and a short one by one person at Shakish and at Musa. At Mincha, they would enter the synagogue and recite the verses by heart, like those who read the Shema. On Friday at Mincha, they would not enter the synagogue because of the honor due to the Sabbath. On any day when Hillel was decided, there was no Mammon at sacrifice. When there was a Musaf offering, there was no Mammon even at Nila. Whenever there was a wood offering, there was no Mammon at Mincha. This is Rabbi Akiva's view, but Rabbi Azai says the Rav Shua was learned that way. Wherever there's a Musaf sacrifice, there's no Mammon at Mincha. Whenever there's a wood offering, there's no Mammon at Nila, and Rabbi Akiva rejected in order to comply with Rabbi Azai. The wood festival of the Kohanim and the people were separated 9 times a year. On the first of Nisan, the family of Arach of the tribe of Judah did so. On the 20th of Tammuz, the family of David of the tribe of Judah did so. On the 5th of Av, the parent of the family of Parash of the tribe of Judah did so. On the 7th of the month, the family of Jonadab, the son of Rachab, I did so. On the 10th of the month, the family of Shemaiah of the tribe of Benjamin did so. On the 15th of the month, the family of Zatu on the tribe of Jehudah did so, along with them with the Kohanim and Levim, and anyone who was uncertain of his tribe, and the family of Petzel smugglers. The family of the fig cutters did so. On the 20th of that month, the family of Pakas Ba'ab of the tribe of Judah did so. On the 20th of El, the family of Adon of the tribe of Judah did so. On the 1st of Tevis, the family of Paros returned a second time. On the 1st of Tevis, there was no Mamad since Hallel was recited and Musaf sacrifice and wood offering was brought thereupon. Let me see. The if one buys, excuse me?
Carry on.
Okay. If one buys several from two places, he may tithe from one for the other. Although they said one may not tell several in the case of the necessity. One may give tithe from the Jews for that, or non-Jews from non-Jews for that of a Jew, for a Jews for that of a Kuthian, for a Kuthian for that of the Kuthians, or Eliab for the Kuthians for that of the Kuthians. Okay. Sorry. A perforated pot is as the earth. If you get truma from the earth, it is from a perforated pot. From a perforated pot for the earth, is truma. From a non-perforated pot for a perforated one, it is truma. But he must give truma again from a perforated one that is a non-perforated one. It is truma, but may not be beaten until he separates truma and mices from it. And if he gave truma,
that's it. Just up to you.
Did I skip one? I didn't know.
No, you didn't. They're just short.
Okay. All right.
And Kalim.
Regarding a service that was found beneath the floor of an oven, the oven is tahor, for I say, it fell while alive and only now did it die. Regarding a needle or a ring that was found beneath the floor of an oven, the oven is tahor, and for I say, they were there before the oven arrived. If they were found in the ashes, the oven was tamei, for there is nothing to which can be attributed. Regarding a sponge that absorbed tamei beverages and was dry on the outside and fell in the airspace of the oven is tamei because the beverage will eventually emerge. And similarly, a piece of turnip or red grass, the red cinnamon rules tahor in these two cases. Regarding the shards of earthenware, they were used for tamei beverages and they fell into the airspace of an oven. The oven was heated and it's tamei because the beverages will eventually emerge. And similarly with new mark, but in the case of old mark, the oven is tahor, even if it's known that beverage comes out of it. Even after 3 years, the oven becomes tamei.
Okay. See you, Chaffee.
All right, don't walk in the street now because somebody will be driving. See you soon. Okay.
Bye.